लाडली लाल की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। अज्ञान तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन कृपालु गुरवे नमः। येषां श्रीमद्यशोदा सुतपदकमले नास्ति भक्तिर्नराणाम्। येषामाभिरकन्या प्रियगुणकथने नानुरक्ता रसज्ञा। येषां श्रीकृष्णलीला ललितरसकथा सादरौ नैव कर्णौ। धिक्तान् धिक्तान् धिगेतान् कथयति नियतं कीर्तनस्थो मृदङ्गः। नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमल मालिने नमः कमल पादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Inquisitive souls, I would like to wish you all a very happy Meri Radhe Divas, which is what we call Merry Christmas. Today being Sunday, we have a Q&A session instead of the lecture that I gave from the rest of the 6 days. Today is a Q&A session, so you have an opportunity to ask questions. So let's start, and who will be the mic runner? Okay, Meera. Right.
Voice side Ashirvad and
Okay,
voice side Meera.
great.
Radhe Radhe Didi Ji.
Radhe Radhe.
So this is Christmas. It's technically also the birthday of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
What I would like to ask is, how, if in any way, does that relate to what we learn here in Satsang about the birth of our God and Guru? And then similarly, in a similar vein, what is the best way to celebrate our own birthdays?
Okay. There are 11 main faiths in the world today, 11 main religions. And so for the Christians, this is a very important day. And for Hindus, we have our very important days, Janmashtami, Ramnavami. And the main thing is that whether it is Christmas that is being celebrated or Ramnavami or Janmashtami, we must remember the reason why we are celebrating it. Our celebrations, we tend to ignore, I should say, the spiritual significance of the holy days, and we focus instead on the materialistic side, that I need to buy gifts and need to get my shopping done, I need to give gifts and I will be receiving gifts, and or on Diwali or on Janmashtami, we're going to be making these sweets at home, we're going to be wearing nice clothes, we're going to meet with our friends. These are all social things, but the real significance of celebrating festivals is to think about God, to bring God into that day, because that's why we're celebrating the day. So I've read these signs that say put Christ back into Christmas, and I always think that put Ram back into Ramnavami, put Sri Krishna back into Krishna Janmashtami. So we tend to forget the real reason. Shri Maharaji told us a story of why Bakri Eid is celebrated in the Islamic faith. There was a devotee, and he had a wife and a son. He was very devoted, and God decided to test him. God sent him a dreamlike message, and that was, take your wife and son and leave them in the desert. And he did exactly that. And then after some time, after a few years, again he had this message from God, and that was bring them back. So he brought them back. And then he was given the instruction to behead his son. And he thought, I can't do it with my eyes open, it's so difficult. And so he blindfolded himself and beheaded his son. When he opened his eyes, his son was perfectly fine, but there was a head of a severed head of a goat laying there. And so God was testing his level of surrender. He was fully surrendered. But now, over the passage of time, all that people started doing was they said, okay, it's this day, so let's eat goat. It was supposed to be that God is testing his level of surrender, and it ended up with just eating goat meat. So that's how we mess things up, humans, in all faiths. So the real way that we can celebrate these holy days is to remember God, remember the purpose why we are celebrating them in the first place. And so now you were asking, how do we celebrate our own birthday? Again, for someone who wants to move ahead on the path of devotion, for an aspiring devotee, the best thing to do is, on any day, is to bring God into that. To use any excuse to think of God. And a birthday is a special day in that we should be thankful on that day, especially thankful to God for giving us life. And we must fill that day with sadhana, satsang, and seva. So it would be wonderful to do more devotion on that day, and to do more seva on that day. Pujan of one's guru should be done on that day. Dakshina should be given on that day. God should be remembered, Guru should be remembered. God and Guru should be worshipped. They should be worshipped every day. Seva is to be done every day, but on that day especially. Because we are accustomed, the world is accustomed to celebrating a birthday with a party. But then there was a satsangi who said, satsang is the best party. It is isn't it? It is the best party. So a satsangi, an aspiring devotee, will have satsang on that day, if possible, satsang at home. And just do whatever it takes to think about God and Guru even more on that day, and to give thanks, even special thanks, for giving this life, this human form of life.
Radhe Radhe Didi Ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Today morning you spoke about reflecting on the year for whatever goals we have created so far and how we followed through them. Over the years, what I'm noticing is that it's in the January we create great goals, but by end of January they fade away, and sticking to goals is what it is hard. Uh, we create many goals. I mean, anyone can create goals, but sticking to it, how to do that?
The commitment is challenging, isn't it? That we, like you said, we can come up with a goal and we make resolutions, and then it doesn't take long to break that resolution. We become some other time. So the goal should not be very daunting. It should be something manageable, I would say. No, rather than saying, I'll lose 100 pounds in 2 months or 3 months, 6 months. It's better to, I think it's more manageable to say, I will get healthier. I will take small steps to become healthier. And so something that's not so daunting, something that's manageable, something that we can stick to. So that kind of resolution, that kind of goal is more manageable, and we can commit to it easier. It's easier to commit to a goal like that, rather than something that's completely out of our reach. We know ourselves. We know ourselves. So if it's totally out of our reach, then we shouldn't make that resolution. A few years ago, I wasn't eating any apples. So I wanted to eat an apple every day. So I created a document on my laptop, and it said, eat an apple every day, do this every day, do this. And it worked out really well because it was manageable. Okay, I'm going to eat an apple every day. Rather than saying something big, whatever it may have been. But eating an apple every day is not a big deal. So by doing so, I could become healthier. So it's an example, small example. Go for a 30-minute walk every day. Go for a 20-minute walk every day, let's say. And stick to it. So then success breeds success. So when we succeed in fulfilling one resolution, then we become encouraged, don't we? Then, okay, I can do this, and I can make maybe a bigger resolution. I can continue with something else. So I think just manageable resolutions is the answer. At the back, Meera.
Thank you. Devi Ji, I've heard this many times, and even as growing up, we sang it all the time. Jithe jaye behe mera satguru soi than suhaba. Means wherever my guru has put his charan, no matter where, that place becomes a place of worship.
Yes.
So, if that is the case, then what is the importance of visiting dhams? For specifically saying, this is where Thakurji was born, and this is where this certain lila was performed, or Guru Dham. So I'm saying if Maharaji came to the West, and what is the need and the importance to go to India for Guru Dham?
Right. When we go to India, let's say we go to Mangar, and that's our Guru's birthplace, then that is a place where Sri Maharaji was born, and that is a place where about which Maharaji said, I can never leave Mangar. So it was very dear to him, and he took birth there. He walked on that earth day in and day out. So many years he spent there. The vibrations are extremely powerful, and also because when Maharaji came to the West, of course, everywhere, every place has the presence of God and Guru in it. And even if Maharaji, yes, did come to the West, he went to many countries, and for instance, Maharaji came to Dayton, Ohio. That's where I had hosted Sri Maharaji. And so we tried very hard to keep up that tradition, we started a tradition of holding a long weekend retreat there every year. So we could just think about that fact that Sri Maharaji was here. Maharaji came to Toronto and he stayed in the room that I was staying in, and it was so significant. And you know, Maharaji came to your house, Maharaji came to so many homes, he visited so many homes. But what happens over a period of time is we lose that importance that, oh, Maharaji was here. But when we go to India, there are so many ways in which our Guru's memories are being kept alive. There are huge billboards with Maharaji on them. His words are everywhere. And the fact that their vibrations are extremely powerful there is no substitute for that. And we can go see Sri Maharaji's room where he stayed, and the memories are there. Oh yes, I was here in this room when Maharaji was here. And you know, this is where we did pujan, this is where Maharaji sat, this is where Maharaji did that. There's so many leelas he has performed there, so many wonderful memories he has left there. So it is wonderful to be in any place where our Gurudev has been, but to go to India, it's just irreplaceable. It's like nothing else. The vibrations are extremely, extremely powerful. And like I said, Maharaji had said, I can never leave Mangar. And when you go there, I know it's many people's experience, including mine, that we just never feel that Maharaji is left from there. Maharaji just feels like he is right there, although he left us physically in 2013, but it feels as if he is right there. So it becomes really, really important. But other than that, if somebody, let's say, cannot go, I cannot go to India for whatever reason, it's not a tragedy by any means. Yes, you can visualize your Guru to be anywhere. But if one can, it's my experience that there's nothing like it. To go there and to spend some time there, it's really important. I have benefited greatly. I know you have as well. So many of us have benefited greatly from being there. So there is a difference in being in Bhakti Dham, especially in Bhakti Dham, Maharaji's birthplace. Maharaji had great love for his birthplace, and we also regard it as our first home, our spiritual home. Ashirwad, do you have a question? Or are you looking to give the mic to someone? Okay. Oh, yes.
Why do we celebrate Christmas?
Why do we celebrate Christmas? Well, have you heard of Christ? He was messenger of God. He had come to earth to teach people about devotion, and he was born on this day, so we celebrate. So Christmas is celebrated. And Mishka, you should consider yourself very lucky to be born a Hindu. Do you know why? Why? Because, I'm glad you asked. Because as a Hindu, we have been taught to respect every other religion. And so someone said this morning to me that it's wonderful you have a Christmas tree out there. And we always do, because we respect other religions. And we believe fully that Christ was a messenger of God. When I remember I was preaching somewhere, and someone came up to me afterwards and said, "Do you believe in Christ?" And I said, "Of course." And said, "Do you believe he's the only savior?" I said, "No, of course not. There are countless who came before him, countless will come after him." I said, "You don't believe he's the only savior?" I said, "No, and that is the beauty of the religion that I follow. That it gives me such respect for other religions, but it does not make me narrow-minded. So we're not narrow-minded. We believe that Christmas is ours too. And I remember in high school in Toronto, Canada, I had a math teacher, and she taught the class. We would start the class with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And I loved it. I just thought it was great. Okay, it's not a Hindu prayer, but it's a prayer to God. And we are taught as followers of Sanatan Vedic Dharma that there are many paths that lead to God. And so we're very open-minded. And I know I feel blessed to be born a Hindu. And so that, have such a great wide outlook and to accept all religions. Of course, I will follow my religion. I want to follow my religion. Not just because I was born in it, because I've understood the greatness of it. And one of the reasons why Sanatan Vedic Dharma is so great is that it teaches one to be very open-minded and to truly accept all religions as being good. That's why we don't convert people into Hinduism. You want to be a Hindu? Go ahead and just be a Hindu. You don't have to do anything. It's yours. It's Sanatan. It's eternal religion. And it's eternal path of life. And a lot of people feel very nervous, like, what if Hinduism goes out of style? How can it? How can something that is eternal, how can the eternal path, which had no beginning, how can it go out of style? Every other religion had a beginning, but Hinduism does not have a beginning. It is beginningless, therefore it will always be. This is why Hinduism is not afraid, it's not nervous. Like, we've got to add to our membership. We've got to make more members. Hey, you people, just go to every street corner and recruit more into Hinduism. We don't do that because we've been taught that every religion is, whatever religion you want to follow, you go ahead, follow that. But being born as a Hindu, growing up, I always thought that I'm very proud of my religion, but I didn't know why. And when Sri Maharaj Ji, my guru, entered my life, I realized that I am proud of being a Hindu because of its greatness. It is so great. And so its greatness made me fall in love with it. Understanding it made me fall in love with it. And so we celebrate Christmas in answer to your question. Did you understand, Mishka? What did you understand? Can you tell me? Why do we celebrate Christmas? It's the birthday of Christ. Right? Jesus Christ, have you heard that name? Yes, that's right, Jesus. It was his birthday. Yes.
Could you speak with us about some of the challenges through the years that our youngsters, you've seen that they faced, and what is your advice to our younger ones, no matter what age they are, as they go through their elementary, middle, high school, into the college transitions and so forth? What are the things they need to be watchful for, and how can they overcome some of the challenges?
I think that kids these days have more challenges than the previous generations, and previous generation, because now there's a lot more technology, there's a lot more innovations, there's a lot more available. There's my favorite topic, social media, and it's really presenting a lot of challenges to our kids. So I would say that, first of all, have a great relationship with God. That really solves a lot of problems. Having a great relationship with God and bringing spirituality into your life. Prayer should be a daily part of life. Whatever else is going on, but we must not ignore that prayer. We should never get too busy to have that one-on-one with God and Guru. That's very, very important. Because after all, there is something inside of us that bothers us, and that's the mind. Our mind gets troubled, and there's so many expectations. We feel that, when you look at social media, this kid has a perfect life, and mine is so lousy. There's so many pressures. I talk often to kids who say that, school is not just, in my time, my reality is that school was just about school. It just felt like school was about school, and nothing much more than that. But then now it's about what kind of clothes you're wearing, who you're hanging around with, how popular you are. I mean, that was always there, but it's much more now. How popular you are, what kind of car do your parents drive, how much money do you get, this and that. There's so much pressure of taking drugs. There's a drug culture. It keeps changing. Sometimes it's like, okay, kids are more into alcohol now. Kids are more into smoking now. Kids are more into drugs now. It keeps changing. So a lot of those peer pressure is there, and the peer pressure is just gets more and more serious. So I would say that, again, prayer has to be a big part of daily life to reduce that chatter in the mind that I need to do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not getting good enough. I'm not good in my studies. I'm not good in this. I'm not good enough. I don't fit in. This and that. And kids should remember that whatever seems really, really important right now, a few years down the line, just a couple of years down the line, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. So I would say having a really good communication with parents is really, really important. We tend to think in our childhood and when we're teens, and especially in our teens, that we can't relate to our parents. But as you get older, you realize that your parents were the best resources you had, and you didn't use that resource so well. So having a good relationship, good communication with parents is really important. If they don't understand, then who will? And sometimes we just become quiet and silent, and parents are left wondering, what's really going on in your mind? I wish I could read your mind. I don't know what's going on. And so I would like the kids to know, teens, young adults, that, especially teens, kids and teens, pre-teens, teens, that having a conversation with your parents and just telling them what you're feeling, and very important for parents to ask, how was your day, what went on, and so to avoid the yes or no answers. Just, what did you do today, and how are you feeling, or whatever it is, and for the kids to respond and to communicate, to have a great communication with parents is really important. And these are some things that come to my mind right now. That spirituality has to be a big part of our lives, at no matter what age. But how wonderful it is for a child to start off his or her life learning about God. And I often think about this, that the first lesson a child should be taught is that you are the Atma, you're not the body. And that child has such a wonderful head start in life. This is the right start in life, that I'm the Atma, I'm not the body. All this peer pressure and everything would go away. There would be nothing, because I'm the Atma, I'm not the body. Listening to lectures is really important. Listening to the wisdom of the scriptures is really important. All that is. Going away from social media, yes, as hurtful as it may seem in the beginning. Trying to just do nothing for a few minutes every day, to get rid of the fidgetiness, just to do nothing, just to Rup Dhyan is amazing. Just sitting or wherever you are, just visualizing God and Guru to be with you. Powerful, very powerful. And it's easy to do. Wherever we are, we could do Rup Dhyan. We could do it at any age. It's so easy. We all have an imagination, so we can do Rup Dhyan everywhere we go. At home, at school, playground, wherever. Yes. Radhe Radhe.
It's working, but this is about Rup Dhyan. So Maharaji says for us to create like a body based on our own imagination that we can like lovingly like adore and cherish as God. So
I'm sorry, adore?
Like love him as God.
Adore,
So at least this might be the only time with me, but whenever I do Rup Dhyan, I can't think about like my own form. It just pictures come to my head. How do I and then with those pictures too, sometimes I can't even like I'm in the bhajan, I'm like chanting like Hare Ram, whatever. But that same picture that I was thinking about changes to something else. To like another picture of Bhagwanji. And I'm not sure if Maharaji says to keep only one form in mind, but yeah, and then how do I also strengthen like my Rup Dhyan? Like how do I imagine more than just Bhagwanji? Like how do I imagine like the background, the form, like where the thing is?
So first of all, sorry, are you finished? So first of all, I think what you have heard is create a bhavde. That's a body. That just means in your imagination that you're not with this body, but just imagine that you are somewhere else. So naturally, you're sitting right here, but you're imagining that you are somewhere else, in a garden, in Golok, in Vrindavan. So that's all it means, that you imagine yourself to be somewhere else. And so rather than bringing pictures of God in the mind, just have it like, when you watch a movie, when you imagine something, then it's a scene. Best thing to do is to visualize Radha and Krishna to be somewhere where you have been. Can you name some of the places you've been? On vacation, perhaps? Okay. Spoken like a true satsangi. I went on vacation to Yugal Kunj, yes. Yes, so you can visualize, now you know what Yugal Kunj looks like. You can envision Radha and Krishna to be in the summertime over here, it's prettier, in all around, wherever you like to be. And so that's easy because you've been here. Let's say San Diego Zoo, that's where you live. Not in the zoo, San Diego. So somewhere in San Diego, you've been there. So in that park, in that garden, so Radha and Krishna are there. So that's not something you have to work so hard to visualize because you've already been to those places, right? You've been here, you've been there, you've been to different places. So just visualize God to be anywhere where you have been. It'll be easier. And you say that the form changes, you mean from Lord Krishna it changes to Bhagwan Shiv and then Bhagwan Ram, like that? Mic, please.
Pictures, right? So like one picture of Sri Krishna changes to like another picture and then I get confused.
That's okay. That's all right.
Is that fine?
Yes. With practice, it will be stabilized. Yes, that's fine. But when you say picture, you don't see just a picture of Lord Krishna there, right?
Not
But you are seeing him as being dynamic. He's walking, talking.
Yeah.
Yes?
His face, like his like
face changes.
Body changes.
Right. That's okay. And sometimes if you have hard time thinking about the whole body of Lord Krishna, just concentrate on his lotus feet or on his eyes or just face. So his eyes, nose, mouth, or just the mouth or, how beautifully he smiles, if that works better for you. Any which way, just do Rup Dhyan. Try to do Rup Dhyan. You're welcome. Radhe Radhe.
Didi ji, you gave a great story about Bakrid related to dreams and spiritual dreams. So do we believe in spiritual dreams? If we get some of those, like how do we treat those?
In fact, that was not a dream, that was really an experience God gave to him. If we have, our dreams are a product of our mind, which is, at that time, it is totally uncontrolled. So we are not to pay attention to dreams. But if it's a dream about God, it's very vivid, it's because of God's grace, Guru's grace, that we have had that dream. But it doesn't count as sadhana because we didn't actively think about God. It just came to us in the dream. It does feel good though. It does feel good when we have that. And then you feel grateful to your Guru. You feel grateful to your Ishtadev for giving you that dream. But dreams are, after all, dreams. And they don't count as practice of devotion. That I saw God. We would have to think about, we have to do active Rup Dhyan to be given the fruits of that Rup Dhyan.
Radhe Radhe Didi Ji.
Radhe Radhe.
On days as such as today, one second, my voice.
It's fine, your voice is good.
On days as such as today, we receive gifts or have the idea that we're supposed to receive gifts.
Yeah.
And our birthday too would fall under that category. We expect that we should receive a gift, even though we've been reminded countless times by innumerable gurus and like that step away from Maya, and yet here we are receiving like these gifts. Then why is it like this in the first place?
You mean, why do we want gifts?
Yeah, no, it's like
Why are we given gifts?
Why are we given gifts?
It's, it's a worldly tradition that you give gifts as a sign of affection, but as long as you don't get, caught up with it, that, let me give the huge gift, and it's fine when you like someone, when you love someone, your family gives you gifts. That's all right. Not receiving gifts or receiving gifts doesn't mean you're getting more into Maya. It doesn't have to mean that. It could mean that, you appreciate this and you're grateful for it, and you don't get attached to it. But, it could be, are you talking about big gifts or small gifts?
Doesn't really matter.
You can always say, no, thank you, I'm trying to get away from Maya. You can share that gift with somebody else. You feel that it takes you away from God.
Like when you're receiving a gift, I feel like it's more like taking you farther and farther away from God, because again it tells us get away from Maya, get off that track, and focus more on God. And we're receiving these gifts in the first place.
Oh gosh,
like pure
these
Maya.
people who give gifts. So you can say, I thank you, but no thank you, I don't accept gifts. But I mean, I think it's a great question that, if you feel that you're getting more worldly because of these gifts, then you can, but you don't have to go overboard with the Maya thing, It's okay. I'm sure you're not being given like a mansion as a gift or a car that you can drive and a driver. These are smaller gifts. Like I know you've gotten gifts in this retreat, and it was like a lip balm. little Sudoku thing. And so these are not harmful gifts. They're just, we all, like to show our affection. Tonight there'll be some gifts given too. So, but you're free not to take one. But it's not bad. It's not a wrong thing. But if you feel that it takes you away from your ultimate aim in life, then you should say, thank you, I appreciate it very much, but could you please give it to someone who needs it more than I do?
So, but you're saying that also at the same time we're allowed to accept it.
Of course. It's nice to accept gifts, but also giving gifts is really nice, nicer even. Makes you feel better. So that we don't become greedy, it's best to really give. Always keep giving. Giving should become more dear to us than receiving. The giver is always bigger than the receiver. Just remember that. So it's a good idea at your age, and you're perhaps doing it already, to think about others who may need something more than you, and you give. So you give, share. Yes. At the back, please. Radhe, Radhe. I think your mic is off.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe.
Didi ji, about 5-10 minutes ago, you told us that for a Rup Dhyan, and the dream doesn't count. What if Maharaji comes in our dream? What it means then?
It means he is being very kind to you, he is appearing in your dreams, and you should be grateful. However, it should not be counted as sadhana, कि मैंने इतनी साधना की कि मेरे गुरुदेव मेरे सपने में आए. So don't take it as sadhana, because our mind at that time, as I said, is in an uncontrolled state, and whatever it's thinking has no consequence. But it's just really nice, it's inspiring, हमें प्रेरणा मिलती है ना जब हमें ऐसे सपने आते हैं तो. So we should be grateful. There's two questions, one and then one in the back.
Radhe Radhe Didi.
Radhe Radhe.
So Maharaji has said that we should try to bring more people into satsang, but I don't do that. Number one, I in fact, when I'm with my worldly friends, I try to hide this side of mine because I don't want them. First of all, I feel that I won't be able to explain them about this, and secondly, I don't want to get into any argumentation with them. So sometimes I feel bad about it. What should I do? Should I try to convince them, or should I try to tell them something, or
Right.
not?
I think that it would be best to say something like, it's best not to hide it. It's good to talk about it, but to an extent, rather than trying to explain things to them, you can just, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, just say, I go to a satsang and I've embraced a philosophy that really has brought a lot of peace into my life. It has done a lot for me and my family. And would you like to come to satsang? Just an invitation. And if possible, when you have satsang at home, and I know you do, at that time, it's best to bring them in at that time, and then there could be a satsang, just especially keeping them in mind, that people who don't know, who are just hearing it for the first time, it's a nice introduction to them. Or to invite them just for satsang, and just saying that it has made me happier, so I want to share that with you.
Sure, thanks.
You're welcome. And when people start to argue, it's not worth it. Just if there's an argument, then you need to stop then. Yes.
Radhe Radhe Didi Ji. Shri Maharaj Ji has given one lecture, and the topic was Smaran and Rup Dhyan. What is the similarity and what is the difference, so to speak? And Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu had talked about the fact that Manina Smarana Pran. So when Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu talked about this specific thing, Manina Smarana Pran, so that Smaran, what was actually his intent behind saying that Smaran? Is it Roop Dhyan, or is it a Karma Yog ki sadhana where you feel the presence of Guru and God, or is it a combination of both? Was there any further explanation to what Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu had said about this?
Gauranga Mahaprabhu's philosophy and Maharaji's philosophy, both are the same. So I would say that when Gauranga Mahaprabhu says Manera Smarana Pran, he's talking about Roop Dhyan and just in any situation, Karma Sannyas Sadhana, Karma Yoga Sadhana, but it's all inclusive. Referring to what the Bhagavatam says, that there are 9 types of devotion, 9 ways of practicing devotion, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, and etc. That there are 9 ways of practicing devotion, and 3 are the main ones, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, and out of those, Smaranam is the devotion. Without involving the mind with God, there is no devotion. And the rest of them are helpful tools, helpful in making us do Roop Dhyan. So it would mean all-inclusive. Roop Dhyan is what he's talking about. Sri Maharaji has explained it very, very much in detail. Mahaprabhuji just hinted at it. That was his style at that time. And Maharaji explained everything in greater detail. Yes.
Radhe Radhe, Devi Ji.
Radhe Radhe.
So I have a quick question. You were talking about, having like teenagers or preteens and stuff, having a better relationship with parents, right?
Right.
For me, a big challenge was like they talk on their experience, but sometimes the child didn't experience what they experienced already, right?
Sure.
So that's like you, as a child, well, I guess I was a child, but I wanted, to, you knew certain things were wrong. We still wanted to do it and have that desire, and then you learn from it. And, from my experience, like sometimes trying it does help because you realize that, it's not for me. But as your life continues, you still have, like, for example, Maharaji talks about marriage and stuff, right? It hinders you on the path to it because, you bring someone else in your heart. So, but as like me, I still, have that little like desire, right? So how do you get rid of those desires?
You don't have to worry about those desires because all you need to do is to do bhakti, to bring devotion into your life and do more of it. Now you're starting a full-time job, right, soon. And your life is going to be more structured than before. Earlier there was a lot of liming. Liming means, Trinidadian English, hanging around. And because when you have more time, you tend to do that. Going around and being with friends. Now, because of the job, it's going to be more structured. At the moment you told me you're starting a job, I said, okay, good, more structure in his life. Then when you have less time, then you will do your sadhana. You will do your sadhana more diligently because you have less time now. When you have more time, you say, I'll do my devotions, some other time. But now you have less time, you'll be able to do it. Okay, I've got to go to work, but I've got to do this before I leave. So just do what you are told to do by your guru. But sadhana, seva, satsang. And everything else falls into place. And when there is something that weighs heavily on your mind, just talk to God, talk to your guru in your mind, and you always get the answers. That just say, shed tears. I need an answer to this. I'm struggling in this department. And God and Guru both respond very, very quickly to genuine cry for help. So now just do what you have learned to do. attend satsang, do sadhana at home, do seva in all kinds of ways. And everything falls into place, which is so much easier than trying to, okay, I need to do this, I need to get that done. But just sadhana, satsang, seva, and everything falls into place. It's like, okay, I want to be healthier. Okay, just eat, don't get hung up on, I need to be healthier, I need to be healthier. Eat healthy food, get right amount of sleep, and you automatically become healthier. So you take the necessary steps to bring that about. And then the struggles, there's not as many struggles as there would have been otherwise. It's more manageable, isn't it, like that? We have 9 more minutes. Over here, please. Radha.
So I was wondering, do you have any experiences with Maharaji that made you fall more in love with him or made you want to go down his path even more?
First of all, I didn't, when I heard Maharaji's philosophy, I was in Canada. Maharaji was in India. But when I heard his philosophy through Devi Ji, I fell in love with the philosophy. I loved the teachings. They just made a lot of sense to me. Before that, I used to think, I wonder if someone will come along in my life who will tell me about spirituality, my religion, and spirituality step by step so that it makes sense to me. And when I heard Maharaji's philosophy, then I felt that I'm getting that. I'm actually understanding. It was a very exciting time. So even before having Maharaji's darshan, I knew his philosophy, so I started to love him without knowing him, who he was. And I started to have a lot of faith in him. Whoever it is, he is amazing because this is his philosophy. I had no personal connection with Maharaji at that time. Then when I saw Maharaji, I had darshan in India. I definitely fell in love with him personally in the sense that he was so lovable and he was so loving. I felt that I saw that he knew everything about me, and that he was very, very, very patient, very tolerant. He didn't show that himself to be so great. He was very down to earth. All the qualities that we seem to need to love someone, they were in him. And so then I started to appreciate him so much more. But Maharaji is he's all about his philosophy. Above all, his teachings are what attracted me. And they still attract me to this day. They keep attracting me more and more. So it was the teachings. He showed me a path, whereas, earlier I was lost. I didn't know what to do, where to go, where to find the answers. He came into my life, as I know he did in yours, and he showed me a path. And I have had nothing but happiness, joy, life has been amazing, and it keeps on getting more amazing because of what he brought into my life. The love for God he brought into my heart, the detachment, level of detachment from the world in a very beautiful way. It was amazing. It couldn't have happened without him, without his greatness and without his grace. Five more minutes.
Just a little while ago, you spoke about how it's so much easier to bring Radha and Krishna into places we've already been and visited. So all of our kirtans and everything that we sing describe other places.
Like Vrindavan.
Golok, and
Golok,
where, yes, maybe we were at some point, but not now. So So for me personally, I guess I'm looking for advice on how you connect that, because it's hard to put myself in those situations, because I seem like I'm not worthy of like plopping myself into those highly spiritual places.
I see. Then it's just a suggestion. So you can take them anywhere. You can have them in your home or, anywhere where you're familiar, places you're familiar with. Just do Roop Dhyan of Radha and Krishna there. It doesn't have to be in the Yamuna River, in Golok, in Vrindavan. Those are suggestions. You have freedom to take them anywhere. So if you can't relate, now somebody who can relate, they can take them there. The imagination, you can just let your imagination roam freely. You can take them anywhere. Because God is already everywhere. Prabhu Vyapak Sarvatra Samana. He's equally present everywhere. He's omnipresent. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma say the Vedas. He's everywhere. So it's not our imagination. We are imagining him to be everywhere or different places, but he actually is there. And so say the Vedas, so say the Vedic scriptures. So we can feel absolutely free to take him anywhere, to do Roop Dhyan of him in any place. And that's the beauty of Roop Dhyan. There's just no restrictions. Because wherever we take him, he's already there. And whatever Leela we are thinking of in our mind, he's already done that. Because Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Countless are his pastimes. So out of one of the imagination that we are having is already one of the countless. So there's nothing he has not done. There's no place where he has not been. And that's what Maharaj Ji has done. He has made Roop Dhyan so easy because the world had never heard that you can take God anywhere and anywhere. We don't have to just take him to specific places. Or the first thing is to do, we didn't know, the world didn't know about Roop Dhyan. It was there in the scriptures, but it wasn't brought out so much. And Sri Maharaj Ji talks so much about that. Roop Dhyan, Roop Dhyan, Roop Dhyan. If your mind is not there with God, then how are you doing devotion? It's not your hands that do devotion. It's not your eyes, ears, and no part of your body is doing devotion. It's the mind, which is the only worker we have. It's the mind that has to do devotion. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. So by explaining so much from the scriptures, he's brought us to this point where we know that, okay, Roop Dhyan ke bina to kuch nahi hoga. Roop Dhyan binu bhajan kirtan jo varsha dhuni dadur. Our kirtan bhajan is nothing if there's no Roop Dhyan in it. So anywhere, you can take him anywhere. And thus ends our Q&A session. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.